Welcome to Lord Bear Me Strength.
This is the podcast where we ask God to bear us some strength.
And then we use that strength to pray without ceasing, talk about beer, and digest the issues.
Also, sometimes we quote The Office.
For your edification and our enjoyment.
Because we have freedom in Christ.
You're Lisa.
And you're Marge. Now, Lord, bear us strength. How you doing, Marge?
I'm really
You
tired.
doing okay? You didn't sleep well.
Nope.
I'm sorry.
But I'm here.
Yeah.
Because I live here.
You look great.
Thanks. Now everything's hilarious. It's going to be great.
Yeah. It's going to be one of those days.
Yeah.
That's okay. You know what'll help with that? Drinking beer at 9:30 in the morning.
Okay.
Should we do that?
That sounds good.
I mean, we can. They're right here.
Okay. You want to open them?
Sure.
You're better at opening them than I am.
Sometimes they twist off. These do not twist off.
Here, I want to try it this time.
Okay. You gotta get the little nub.
Yeah. It's like what I was doing last time.
We're learning. We're not professional beer openers.
Oh,
Yeah.
did you hear that?
That was satisfying. Here, I'll hold mine up to the mic.
Oh,
yeah. Oh, my goodness. So what do we have? You brought this one today.
I did.
What is this?
This is Schlafly's Pale Ale.
Mm-hmm.
I taste tested it with my future brother-in-law.
Nice.
His name's Tim.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Tim.
It's a good name.
Love you, Tim.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it.
And they make this
Okay.
in St. Louis too, don't they? Yep.
Sure.
Brewed and bottled.
I know beer.
So it's local. I know beer. I know all about this. So this was your favorite one out of the ones you tasted?
Yeah, I actually really like it's like smooth.
Mm.
It doesn't quite grip your tongue as...
Is that what people
much.
mean? Like when they take a shot of something in a movie and then they choke out smooth? That's what they mean? It doesn't grab your tongue? I have no idea. I have never understood. Why do people choke out the word smooth after they take a shot?
I don't know
Don't
what
know
you're
what
talking
it means.
about.
Really? You've never seen that?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
Well, I probably watched
You'd
like
have
a bunch
to show
of
me.
stuff that you haven't. So
You'd be
I will
surprised.
find an example of this, what I'm talking about, and I'll
Okay.
show it to you. Because my whole life I have wondered. I've never like done a shot, so maybe I've just never.
Yeah.
I've never been in a situation.
Well, are you a lightweight?
I don't think so. I think I do okay.
Yeah.
Like I've never been drunk. I've only just like gotten sleepy, you know. But I actually went to a bar one time in my life with a friend of mine, and she ordered a couple different things, and they were all kind of like fruity, kind of girly drinks, you know. So I didn't know what to expect, but I didn't feel any different afterwards, and I had 4 of them. So
You had 4 of them?
yeah, I felt like I could, you know, drive home and I was fine. I wasn't even like dizzy. Now, if I drink a whole beer at age 40, I will get kind of like weird, you know, a little tipsy, I guess, and just fall asleep. But that's about the closest. I've never been like actual drunk, you know, where people, that's something I see in the movies too. Because again, I've never seen this in real life.
Mm-hmm.
People getting so drunk that they can't walk, they pass out. They wake up, they have a hangover, they throw up. Never experienced that.
Mm-hmm.
The closest I came to that was there was a girl that I worked with at Altamuller's that would go out regularly and party with her friends, and she'd come in with hangovers and be miserable. But she'd go out and do it again because she had so much fun. But I'm just like, how is that fun? That looks awful.
Uh-huh.
And I was never tempted to do it, so I never have. I'm just going to kind of sip on this thing all morning and have 0 effects.
Do you like it?
I was going to say, I do like it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It is different. You know, like what did we have last week? Corona? Yeah, it tastes like it's stronger than that, which I'm sure it is. That is about all I know. I don't know, like, what'd they tell you about it while you were at the tasting? Should I be expecting something?
Should you be expecting
Oh, here it
something?
says right here on the label, Schlafly Pale Ale is smooth, balanced, and copper colored. Because that is, you can taste that, the copper color.
It's like
With a mildly spiced flavor and aroma from the English hops and malt and yeast. This English-style session ale is a Schlafly tradition, available year-round.
I'm getting bored. So.
I just bored the crap out of you.
Can we move on?
Yeah, I was just fascinated. It said smooth right there. Yeah.
I'm like, It's a fun fact about me. I'm like
Okay.
pretty good about describing things as like Google would say they are.
Really? Okay.
It's like a
I
weird
respect that.
gift I have.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's because I spend too much time on Google that I just kind of like
become one with the Google.
with the Google.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's happened.
I've become a machine.
Well, that got dark.
Yep.
Yeah. It's 9:30 in the morning. Only gets better from here.
We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, we will see.
Uh-huh.
It's going to be great.
Yeah.
You're going to do your testimony today.
Yep.
Yep.
I'm gonna try.
Are you ready?
Nope.
Nope.
Right, here we go.
Yeah. Well, again, you're in charge of editing, so you can do whatever you want.
Cheers.
Yeah. Oh, we forgot to cheers with our actual beers. Beers cheers.
Beers cheers.
Dink. That sounded awful. Do it again. Wow, it's just very dense. That's fine. It is what it is.
They just break.
Yeah.
Have you seen those where like people are holding mugs and they go and
It
they just both break?
explodes. Yeah. I have seen that. Again, in the movies, not in real life.
Yeah.
But we don't have to talk about that. We're going to talk about you.
Okay.
You were born at a very young age.
I was born at a very young age.
It just never gets old to me. I just love it so much.
Yes, I know.
So I'll stop now.
I was actually thinking about like how do I start, and I was like I should do Lisa Live.
I mean,
But you
it
just
makes
did it
sense.
for me.
I just couldn't resist. I'm sorry.
Gosh dang it. Lisa.
I took it away from you. You can start. You can edit that out.
That's true.
Yeah.
Ready?
Yep.
So, Lisa,
Marge.
this is my story.
Okay, let's hear it.
All right.
Start at the beginning.
So, the beginning,
Say it. It's hard, isn't it? It's
no,
tough.
I can't say it while
I
you're like, huh? You're looking at me with your
anticipation.
bug eyes and your mouth open.
I'm sorry, don't look at me. Now you can say it.
I was born at a very young age.
Did it again, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I felt the bug eyes.
You can't help yourself.
More beer. Okay, go ahead. What happened after that? After the being born?
After being born.
Yeah.
So, I have an older sister
Mm-hmm.
who's 3 years older than me. Her name's Jordan.
Okay.
Hi, Jordan. I know you're
Shout out
listening.
to
Love you, Jordan.
Yeah.
And a younger sister, Quinn.
Okay.
She's... How old is she? Sorry, Quinn. I always forget how old you are.
How old were you when she was
She's...
born?
Okay, so she's like...
Subtract.
We're like 7 years apart.
Okay.
So yeah.
So she's like 18.
Yeah.
Yes. Math.
Thank you.
Got it.
Yes. Wait, is she? No, she's 19. That doesn't matter. Quinn doesn't matter. So...
This isn't about her.
Quinn is younger
Get
than
your
me.
own podcast,
That's all you
Quinn.
need to know.
Yeah.
So, basically, I feel like I need to preface all of this by saying I really love my family,
Mm-hmm.
and I have talked with them about what I'm going to share today, and they're all super cool about it, and basically just asks that I didn't expose their deepest, darkest secrets.
Not yet. That comes later in the podcast.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, I have a great relationship with my family, and I'll get to that.
Okay.
But I didn't always. So,
Mm.
we'll start with that. Like, what the
Okay.
heck was it like growing up?
For little Marge.
Yeah, for little Marge.
Yeah.
So, I mentioned this before, but like, I grew up in church.
Mm-hmm.
Mom was heavily involved in children's ministry at our old church. Dad was a Sunday school teacher. They'd both been going to church their whole lives. Mom was Catholic, Dad was Baptist, and so we were going to a Baptist church. And pretty much like I was raised in Baptist life.
Mm-hmm. Big question for anybody growing up in a Baptist church. When were you baptized?
Yeah, I was baptized at, I think I was 5 or 6.
Wow. Okay. So pretty little.
Yeah. And I remember the pastor at the time, he was preaching the gospel, and a lot of people were getting baptized. And I remember we were doing like Lord's Supper, and I was sitting right next to Mom, and it was very like somber tone over the whole congregation, and Mom was like, I think she was crying. I asked her like, what's going on? And as like the bread and juice came around, she was explaining to me as my mom does so well to kids, like, this represents Jesus' body and his blood, that he died for us, and he died for your sins because he didn't want you to die for your sins, and just in a very simple way, and that stuck with me. Literally, like, I remember that.
Wow.
So, I remember thinking that wasn't fair, and that was, like, the start of my relationship with God, basically. It was like, that's not fair. Why did he have to die? He didn't do anything wrong. And, just a very, like, basic understanding. Anyway, so after I got baptized, pretty much, like, was just, like, a church kid, you know? We switched churches because a bunch of baloney happened at the other one, and ended up at church right now, and that's where I grew up. That's where my social life was. That's where all my friends were. That's where everything was. So,
have you always been homeschooled?
Almost, yeah.
Yeah.
I went to kindergarten and first grade.
Okay.
And then from then on, I was
Where
homeschooled.
did you go for that?
Washington West.
Did you? Okay. Yeah. Cool. And then why did your mom decide to homeschool?
She ultimately decided to homeschool us because she saw where the education realm was going, and she wanted us to have a proper education. Okay. That's the main reason.
Yeah. It's a good one.
Yeah, she took a lot of her time to, like, serve us, basically. Yeah. Because, it was just a lot.
Homeschooling's a big deal. If you do it right, it does really kind of take over your life.
Yeah, everyone has different experiences with it and, like, levels of intensity.
Right. And you got to find something that works for you. Not everybody is different. Right. So.
Yeah. So, yeah, being homeschooled was also, like, very sheltering.
Yeah.
Because you do have, like, a community still, but it's very small. And it's very,
tends to be kind of homogenous, right?
Homogenous.
Yeah.
It's a big word.
It means pretty much all the same.
Okay.
All of one type.
All of one type.
Right? So you don't get exposed to a whole lot of different views or experiences or...
Right. Because all the people you're hanging out with are
just like you.
Very similar experiences as you. Yeah. So I didn't ever think of myself as being, like, sheltered or anything, and, like, until later. Yeah. Like, oh yeah, I was really sheltered. So,
yeah, it's like you can't see a lot of things while you're in it. Yeah. Gotta get out and get a different perspective.
Oh, there's a world outside this one.
Take a step back. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, look at that. Huh.
Yeah. So, anyway, this is a pretty boring story so far, but it gets a bit interesting because, just not yet.
I mean, the point's not to be interesting, you know. The point is to.
I know, but I always
tell the story.
Like, that's part of my problem is that I'm like trying to keep people interested in me so they don't leave me.
Well, that sounds familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay, so. Growing up in church, you hear a lot of stuff like I don't know how to say it without just sharing examples, but like in Sunday school as like a 5th and 6th grader, you would hear like the argument or whatever of if your friends are going to see a movie with cuss words in it, like, do you go see it with them? And then like the right answer that they were looking for was like, I guess no, because I don't know what the answer was. It was just supposed to be like this deep question or whatever, and you're just like, what the heck?
Well, it was the brownie batter question, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So frame it like that.
Yeah. So the brownie, like if you're gonna put like poison or poop or whatever in like a batch of brownies, are you still gonna eat it because it's brownies, but it just has a little bit of poison or something? And it's like, what? No. I don't want to die, you know? But like they frame it like that, and it's like, if you do a little bit of wrong, you're going to die. So, like, that's the idea. Right. And that was, like,
you're supposed to live a pure brownie life.
Yeah. Like, what the heck? And, like, that, it always bugged me. And, like, I think it bugged other people, too.
Oh, it bugged the crap out of me. But I had a real issue with that when I heard it as a kid.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know why, right?
Why?
Because life is not pure brownie batter. Life has a little bit of poop in it. Sometimes it's got a lot. when I was a kid and it was presented in Sunday school. I was like 13 or something. And I had all these thoughts and I just didn't have the courage to say them, but I remember thinking, okay, but the Bible has a little bit of poo in it, right? By comparison. I remember thinking, have you people read Ezekiel? You know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's the Bible, so do you not want me to read the Bible? Because it's rated R in a couple places.
Yeah.
You know?
The logic makes no sense.
It makes no sense, and I have a real problem with lack of logic, especially in the church.
Mm-hmm.
That is a pet peeve of mine.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, I understand.
Yes, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That means a lot to my, 12-year-old self.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not crazy. But,
no, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I heard a lot of stuff like that. Like, it was also presented in a way that you shouldn't question it.
Mm. Yeah, like that one was kind of like this big, boom, gotcha moment. You know, like, yeah you wouldn't eat poop. Ha-ha, gotcha. So you shouldn't go to that movie.
Yeah, like it's this, airtight argument.
Uh-huh. There, we have arrived at the conclusion.
Yeah.
And I have superior information. It should inform all that you do.
Yes.
And
it's very simple-minded.
Mm-hmm.
And, music was another one.
Yeah.
And it was coming from, I understand now that it was coming from a generation who grew up with, quote-unquote, satanic rock or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And their parents were convicted that was wrong.
Right.
And so they went through this whole rebellion phase, and then they got over it. And they were like, I gotta get rid of everything. Mm-hmm. And so, I know several people who have, destroyed perfectly good CDs of Simon and Garfunkel.
Oh my gosh.
Because it's secular.
Oh
you know?
My. I mean, I do too. Honestly, I do.
That's
know
a
people
huge
that
deal.
Just burned all of their secular CDs.
I understand that some people really struggle with that.
Mm-hmm.
And that there's a time and a place for burning CDs.
Right.
Or
like in the fire, not to put stuff on them and give them to your friends.
Yes, we've already clarified that.
Okay, just, you never know.
Yes. But, okay, so, if someone is an alcoholic and they, Jesus has come into their life, basically, and shown them, hey, this is bad for you. I want better for you, you know? Mm-hmm. And they're like, man, I'm just, I'm going to, use this as a pledge to not drink alcohol. Mm-hmm. And, that is awesome. Blanketing that over
everybody,
making your convictions about other people
right
is sin.
Yup.
And so I saw a lot of that.
Yeah,
I still see a lot of that.
That's a real issue.
Those are just the roots in church, though. Is my conviction should matter to you, and that's what the Crusades were.
Yes, exactly.
So, not gonna do that.
Not proud of that moment in Christianity. Yeah.
No, yeah, killing people in the name of Jesus, nope. Yeah, and people nowadays are like, what the heck, Muslims, you're killing people. I'm like, guys, we did the same thing. So
yeah,
this is awkward. Maybe look at history a little bit.
Let's not talk about that. Let's just forget that. Right. Not like you and me, but other people are thinking that. But yeah, it happened. So.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know where I was going with all that, but
well, the tone of your childhood,
yes,
was kind of not sheltering.
It was very legalistic.
Very legalistic. Yes. Yeah.
And by legalistic, how would we define that term?
I always defined it as, you gotta obey the rules in order to be okay with God.
Yes.
And the rules can be whatever anyone in authority makes up.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
They're not necessarily out of the Bible.
That's a great
They can be some rando's interpretation of the Bible, or they could just come out of his own butt, and you've got to do it because he's in charge.
Right.
Sometimes it's a lady. It's usually a dude making these rules.
No, I mean, it is ladies, too. For sure. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Because guys are, especially in the church, guys are the leaders of the church.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes. But also, ladies come up with ridiculous rules, too.
Mm-hmm.
Including myself. We're not...
Oh, yeah. Oh, we can do it to ourselves real easily.
Yeah. And I'm like, what the heck? This is really dumb. Anyway.
Yeah.
A huge part of my character is that I hate tradition. I hate rules.
Okay. Any particular reason?
This is a very important thing that you need to know and understand now, because it's going to make a lot more sense in the things that I'm going to discuss. Mm-hmm. Yes, there's, I cannot stand when people tell me rules, tell me you should dress this way, you should do this, or don't eat brownies with poison in them, and it's like, why though, you know? And if people aren't questioning it, like, I'm just asking why, don't think that's a super bad question to ask.
I think it's the most important question to ask.
I've been asking why my whole life. And
me too.
Yeah, awesome. Maybe that's why.
Here we are.
Yeah, we click a little bit.
It makes sense.
Yeah, like, why though? But I hate when people, well, basically, like, their answer is just because.
Do you know what a lot of times the answer is when they can't give you an answer? The answer underneath their non-answer is because it makes them uncomfortable if you don't.
Yes. And I actually get a huge enjoyment out of making people uncomfortable. That's why people don't like me.
I like you, Marge.
By making you uncomfortable.
You don't make me uncomfortable.
Okay, well maybe it's because you also enjoy being uncomfortable.
You know, there comes a point in every nerd's life where you gotta just embrace the awkward.
Yeah.
Or you're not gonna get anywhere.
Yeah.
So.
We learned the hard way.
Yeah. You better just lean into it. It's a lot more fun that way.
Yeah. So, anyway, my whole family and friends too can, like, attest to me never being, like, satisfied with the status quo or whatever. Like,
yeah, good.
And it's because, well, it was originally because, like, I thought I knew better, and I thought these people are, like, simple-minded, they're stupid, and they're not using their brains, you know. So, very legalistic, and it manifested itself in ways that I can remember and that I'm ashamed of, like, I was friends with this girl at church, and, like, she was just talking about, I don't know, someone else at church, and, like, she was annoyed with them or something, and I told her, like, I was probably, like, younger than 10, and I was like, hey, like, if you keep gossiping, I can't be your friend anymore. And she was just like, she just looked at me, like, super hurt, you know? And I'm like, and I felt totally justified in saying that. It didn't even take me, like, a week to be like, that, why did I say that? You know? Like, and I've always been disturbed by just repeating things other people have told me without, I mean, like, I think everyone is to a degree, but, like, what am I saying? I'm just saying what other people have told me. I don't even believe that, I don't think. And so I've always been questioning, like, what I believe. That's just how I naturally operate. I'm constantly questioning things, which has its pros and cons.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I was a very, like, stuck-up child, and I hate that. Yeah, I was doing a lot of things out of judgment rather than love. Like, love was nowhere, basically. That was, like, I don't know, probably up until... Well, I mean, it stayed with me, you know, I mean, until the present moment, because nothing ever fully leaves you, but...
Right.
Yeah, I think that's a good foundation for where I'm going to go next.
Okay.
So, my older sister, started struggling with what we had no idea what it was at first. So, it was very clearly manifested in an eating disorder, right around the age of, like, 14, I believe. So, I was, like, 11. So it became evident that it was more than just an eating disorder because of the intensity of, like, fixation on food and the obsessiveness of food, and so anyway, it turns out that she has OCD, and so my parents were, like, figuring out what the heck does that mean, and how do these two things work together, and how do we care for our daughter, and they would tell you they had no idea how to do that, and as her sisters, like, we had no idea either, like, what do you do with that? As working as a family who, like, didn't have really any experience with mental health stuff or like mental disorders, so there's a huge learning curve for all of us, and yeah, it got pretty intense. It like gradually, like the volume kept going up on intensity. And
So what do you mean by intensity?
So our house became very, I think, hostile is a good word.
Okay.
And turbulent.
Mm.
And no one knew what they were doing. Jordan didn't know what she was doing.
Mm.
She was going through all of this just as all of us were.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, she was the one experiencing it. And, like, in her defense, like, no one knew what to do, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I can't imagine being that person in that moment. And just, like, that's got to be so isolating and
scary.
And scary. And, like, the sick thing about it is that, like, we all started to have, like, a disdain for her because she was causing problems in our family.
Mm.
And in hindsight, she wasn't causing problems for our family. Like, anorexia and OCD were causing problems for our family.
Mm-hmm.
And she was not the problem.
Right.
She was dealing with problems, and we were treating her like the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And that happened for years.
Mm-hmm.
Like a decade, I would say. Solid decade. And that'll really screw up a family.
Yeah,
so,
it'll have an effect.
Yeah, so every dysfunctional family has different roles that they play.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I mean, like, Jordan was, like, the addict personality or whatever because she was, like, struggling, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mom was the enabler. I was, like, the lost child. Quinn was also kind of a lost child. She's also kind of, like, what they call it, like, the mascot or something.
Oh, yeah.
Who's, like, trying to diffuse the situation and try to be normal, you know?
Kind of a peacemaker type role. Yeah.
Very much a peacemaker. And that's played into her story, and, like, she has a lot to say about that. I forget the other roles, or otherwise I would type Dad as well. But, yeah, so, anyway, telling my story, like, my side of this, since it was, like, a very turbulent household, my role in the family kind of shifted into, because Jordan was my best friend growing up. We were, like, inseparable. We were, like, known at church for being, like, the funny ones, the Lord of the Rings nerds, and we knew it too. Like, we knew we were funny and, like, hot stuff, you know?
Right.
And the people liked being around us and everything. And suddenly it was just like, well, Jordan's going to a treatment center every day in St. Louis, and we're going to take school and go and do school at, like, a McDonald's or something.
Oh, gosh.
You know, or at a park or wherever, and we're just going to wait till she's done. And it was like, it quickly became, Jordan and I are not friends. We're just, what do you call it? Like, we're just coexisting.
Just kind of roommates. You live in the same place.
Yeah, and that's, like, really weird for a kid to go from, like, oh, we do everything together, we could talk about anything, to, like, me perceiving her as a problem all of a sudden. And literally, like, it breaks my heart to think that, like, I believed that for a long time.
Yeah.
And I was very angry with her because the narrative that I was picking up, I'm not saying that this was being pushed, but the narrative that I was picking up was that Jordan was the problem and that she needed to be fixed, and we were angry that she wasn't being fixed, you know?
Right. And I mean, that comes from, like, a place of love. Like, you just want them to be okay. And you want the suffering to be over. And you want, you know, their best life to happen for them, and you're seeing it not. And there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
And that's scary for you. And as a kid, that's devastating. You know, because you're completely powerless. I mean, you are for, you know, other reasons as an adult, but I think as a kid, that really, because you're still forming who you are, and to lose that kind of security and structure in your life is devastating.
It's a great way of saying it. Thank you. So yeah, that kind of situation happened, like I said, for, like, a long time.
Yeah, starting when you were, like, 11?
Okay. It got progressively harder with the time that it was taking to fix Jordan. And none of us knew what we were doing. My parents were getting burnt out completely. they tried everything they could to keep their daughter like alive, keep their daughter healthy, try to help her. They did everything they could. Like they sent her to eating disorder treatment centers.
Yeah.
They sent her to 2 of those. One was in Arizona.
Yeah.
One was in St. Louis, and then
I remember that.
years later, they sent her to an OCD treatment center in Wisconsin.
Wow.
And like we visited her, and it was just like she went through hell.
Yeah.
And I was angry at her. And again, that makes me like sick thinking about. I was angry at her, and
for being sick,
for
something
sick.
that she had no control over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was angry with her for being anxious and so concerned about food, and so concerned about body image, and just like it didn't make any sense to me. I'm like, just stop. Just stop it. Yeah. Just stop being so concerned with what you look like. Yeah, if you would stop being concerned, then you wouldn't have to do these rituals in order to make you feel better, because you would have the confidence in who you are and stuff. So I thought it was very much like a philosophical problem, and I was angry that she wasn't getting it, because the rest of us can get it.
Right.
And she's just like less knowledgeable than me, you know?
Yeah.
And then, again, another sick thing is that years go by of all of that.
Yeah.
And my sister Quinn goes through a huge bout of depression and anxiety. And my parents have learned a lot at this point. I mean, we all have, really, and how to deal with this. Yeah, with Quinn going through a very similar struggle. They thought she had OCD for a while. Because she was so hard on herself and very perfectionistic and a people pleaser. Yeah, these are like the symptoms of like going through all of this at a young age, and like it's like starting to manifest itself, basically.
That's what I was going to say. The things she'd experienced at a younger age, while Jordan was struggling. Now all of that is catching up to her.
Yes.
And being manifested.
And again, I was very angry, upset. Why are you choosing this? You just saw Jordan go through it. Like, why would you do that? Didn't understand. Was trying to understand in my own understanding.
Right.
But like, I was definitely not trying to see where they were coming from. I was just trying to make sense of it in my own way.
Right.
And it like totally separated me from them.
Man.
I basically had like no relationship with them other than like I was their angry sister.
Aww. Yeah.
And like we wouldn't really even argue. It was just kind of like they were like scared of me, for a good reason, because I was just like so cold to them.
Yeah.
And I hate that. Basically this thread of my life turns into a pretty dark place.
Okay.
For me.
Yeah.
Basically, now I gotta like rewind again and tell another story that was parallel to everything else. And that is that from a very young age, I had an attraction to women that was not talked about. And I was very confused by, like, why, like, no one else is having these thoughts or feelings, of like, women are safe, women are comforting, and men are kind of, in the church anyway, it's like men are kind of like, you don't talk to men or touch men unless you are going to marry that man or boy, because I was very young, but that was kind of indoctrinated into me.
Yeah.
That was not, I'm not saying that's why I'm like, why I had those feelings and stuff. But, like, girls always thought I was really funny, and they were really comfortable around me because I was very genuine and open with where I was. And for young girls, that's very fun to be around and, like, loose and just, because I'm not judging. I mean, I was, but, like, it didn't feel like that. It felt like I was, like, their friend, and I loved having friends because growing up, my family was kind of a mess, and so friends were like my safe place, and my safe place was largely girls, and also went through, well, my whole life basically being told that I looked like a boy, that I acted like a boy, that I was basically one of the guys. And,
So who was saying that kind of thing to you?
A lot of people.
Okay.
People that I didn't know, people that I just met for the first time, people who I'd known forever, friends, adults. A lot of times it was adults.
Yeah.
And then when I was getting older, like, little kids would call me a guy. People would confuse me for a guy, and that was like, I can talk about it now, but it was always said to me in a very joking, haha way.
Right.
And I never once was also laughing, like, and I don't know if anyone picked up on that, or if they did, they didn't care enough to stop,
Right.
but it was really confusing for me. I didn't know what I was doing wrong. I didn't know if I could change the way I looked, like, to be more feminine or something. Yeah. But I'm also very much a person that believes in, like, you should dress how you want,
right.
and not have to conform to things just because people tell you to. And it was very much like a rebellion of rules and stuff. And so, anyway, was pretty much in denial that I had any feelings for women, because it was especially damaging to me when boys would say that to me. Boys would tell me that I was ugly, that I don't know, one of them said, yeah, I really want to marry someone pretty one day. Like, not like you, you know, and, like, stuff like that. And it was all very much like, ha ha ha. And I was just like, what the heck, you know? And, like, and it just immediately turns me off to, like, no, I don't want to get married. That sounds horrible. And, like, no, there's no way that a guy would ever find me attractive, because there's, like, they told me that I wasn't. And so it was like, geez, man.
So sorry.
Thanks. I'm okay now.
I know, but... And I know it's all... It goes into making you who you are.
Yeah.
But I just hate that happened to you. And I hate that it happened in the church. People who just didn't know better. And didn't take the time to care, you know, or think about what they were doing. I just can't imagine. I mean, I can, because I got the same kind of stuff. You know, I had really beautiful sisters that were both like homecoming queens and stuff. In my school, it was like a popularity thing, but I never even got nominated, you know, in a class of, there were only 4 of us girls. In 3 years, I never got nominated. My sisters did. And it was just kind of like I wasn't there, you know. So, I mean, I do kind of, I'm not trying to say I totally get it, but it sucks.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah.
I'm just sorry.
Okay. I'm sorry for you, too. That does suck. But we have each other.
I'm sorry. We're okay.
We're okay.
It's going to be okay.
Yeah.
We're beer. So, what, like you said, you never laughed along. Did you, like, ever respond in any way? Like,
not at first.
Yeah.
Because I was super confused and hurt by it.
Yeah.
And I had no idea what to say, you know? I was just, like, confused.
Right.
Like, why
like, as a kid, that just kind of takes you off guard. Like, what the crap?
Why did they think I'm a guy, you know?
Yeah. And then why would you say it out loud? You know? Like, what, do you think this is funny?
Yeah.
It's, you know, like, a lot of times I'd be confused.
Yeah,
So
I don't know.
Not funny to me.
I don't know what their motive was, other than, like, they didn't like that I looked like a guy, and they thought telling me that would help me see how to be a girl. And I'm like, but I am a girl, and it's hard for me to get emotional about stuff because I operate that way, and I also kind of like had to operate that way for a long time, of like you're not allowed to have negative emotions. You're not allowed to have that because that's gonna make things worse.
We don't have time for that noise.
Yeah.
So just be happy and make my life easier.
Yeah.
Because it makes me uncomfortable when you are sad or whatever.
Or angry.
Or just not happy. So just be happy.
So, like, being angry with Jordan was like, do not do that because that is not helping her. And, like, my parents would tell me that. Like, you don't say anything nice, don't say anything, I'll go in your room. And that whole picture of, like, me going into my room and closing the door is like imagine doing that for years. And, like, that's what I do with my emotions is, like, anytime I have a negative emotion, it goes into a room and gets shut. And it doesn't get dealt with until the room is flooding with emotions and it, like, has to break out, you know?
That's a good metaphor.
Yeah. It's like, that's the picture of, like, what was happening.
Yeah.
Underneath. And so when people would call me a boy, I'd feel so sad and confused and so hurt that it would just go in the room, you know? And that happened for years. And I literally, to this day, if you gave me a pen and paper, I could write down every single instance that it happened because it hurt so much. And I thought about it so much. And so that takes me up to literally since I was a kid up until, you know, like, I was like 18. People were still calling me a boy. And
do you ever see the movie, I forget what it was called, but it was about Houdini's life. It starred Adrian Brody.
Yes,
I've
seen that, yeah.
You know,
I think it was a mini-series, wasn't it?
Oh, maybe. I saw it on Netflix, I think. But they would cut, every once in a while, something painful would happen in his life, and they would cut to this little mini scene of him getting punched in the stomach. And it was like to symbolize how he felt at the moment.
That,
But then later at the end of the movie, that's how he ended up dying. And they showed that scene for real. Somebody punched him in the stomach. Turned out he had appendicitis at the time, and it killed him. And I think of that any time, like you say, people calling you a boy, or that you looked like a boy or whatever was so hurtful. It's kind of the image I get. Like, people don't know it, but they're punching you in an inflamed appendix, you know? And if people had any idea what they were doing, I think they would at least take a hot minute before they'd say it. But, you know, I know I've done it to people too, and I hate it, just like you. You know, I hate that is, you know, part of my story that I did that. But, I mean, that's really one of the reasons why I feel like we're doing this podcast, is to, you know, shine a light on these things that people are doing, that are punching other people in the stomach without them knowing, you know.
Absolutely.
Maybe they just need someone to tell them, hey, this is damaging.
Yeah.
You know, to real people.
Yes.
Please stop it.
Please stop.
Please think about what you're doing.
Yeah.
Stop going around punching people in the gut.
Yeah. And I, like, never said anything when it was happening, because it was done in, like, such a joking manner.
Right.
And I was like, should I be laughing at this? Like, this isn't funny to me.
Right.
And
you just didn't feel like you could say that out loud. You didn't feel like you had those
words.
words.
I felt so ashamed of myself as a person.
Yeah.
Is my chest too flat? Is my hair not long enough? Is my face structured like a boy's? Are my shoulders too big? What's going on? Is my voice too deep? Is it the way I carry myself? You know? Stupid things like pulling my pants up to make sure no one assumed there was anything down there, you know?
Yeah.
It's like all of that stuff for years, like, and no one was helping me, and I wasn't asking because I just felt like a freak, you know? And I remember saying something at Super Summer one time when my hair was shorter, and we were, like, playing tug of war or something, or some game like that, and it was down to me and these two guys, and one of the leaders who would, like, he just said, like, oh, we're down to 3 guys now, and I looked at him and I was like,
oh my gosh.
I looked at him and I was like, I'm a girl, and he went, oh, like he genuinely didn't know, that I was a girl. And,
Oh my gosh.
and he looked at me like I was, like, trans or something.
Wow.
And I was like, no, I'm literally just a girl. I guess I'm just an ugly girl, you know?
Oh gosh.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, just super,
I mean, it's insulting. It feels insulting. And then, like, what do you do with that? Especially at a place like camp, you know?
mm-hmm.
The guy didn't apologize?
He just said, oh, and was, like, taken aback. And I was just like,
wow.
yep, I'm a girl.
So did you keep playing? Like,
well, yeah, but, like,
I would have wanted to quit.
it literally, every single time that it happened, it just, like, completely ruined my day.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that'll derail a perfectly good day.
Yeah. And just super hurt.
Yeah.
Confused. What did I do wrong? What was I doing in the moment that made me look like a guy?
Yeah. And, like, what's wrong with me?
What's wrong with me?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have always loved the story of Phantom of the Opera,
mm-hmm.
Hunchback of Notre Dame,
mm-hmm.
Frankenstein, because I relate to those characters, and I feel like I'm a monster.
Oh, gosh.
I feel like I'm a freak of nature because people don't think that I am what I am. And, yeah. There would have been, like, even a few years ago, I wouldn't have been able to say that to you.
Yeah.
Because, like, it was so raw.
Yeah.
And I've been talking about it for a few years now with therapists and stuff. And my family as well. But,
yeah.
Anyway, when I was 18, I had no idea what was going on. With my emotions and stuff when I was, like, getting to the age of, like, you want to be sexually active, you know?
Yep. Yep.
And you're, like, told not to, and so you're like, what the heck do I do?
Yeah,
so
I do know that feeling.
Yeah, so
I got married at 20. It's the soonest I could possibly arrange it.
So very, again, like, confused and ashamed of, like, what the heck is this? Like, this is something I shouldn't be feeling.
Yeah.
And
did you have, like, thoughts during this time of maybe there was someone you could go to talk to?
No.
Like, there was just nobody?
No.
In your
that was
life?
never, no.
Wow.
Even a thought. It was always very, people would look at me differently because, I think they knew that, like, that was something that I could potentially struggle with. And, they had no idea, like, all the adults in my life, like, had no idea what to do with me.
Yeah.
And they were very uncomfortable with me.
Right.
They would look at me in a judging way, and, like, when I would do certain things, like, you know, you get those looks from, like, your parents or something, like, hey, don't do that. It was just that, and no one would really, like, say, hey, don't do that. It was just kind of like a look. It was that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so anyway, when I was 18, like, that was pretty exposed all of a sudden. And my parents sat me down and were like, hey, are you attracted to women? And they had that look on their face. And I said, no. And they were like, okay, well, we're seeing that you are. And so we're going to send you to therapy, and that will hopefully help you. And so they did that. Went to therapy. I was 17.
Was this, like, with the hope to cure you? Yeah.
I think so.
Okay.
Their heart for me was to help, and that's how they knew to help. And
okay.
There was absolutely no malicious intent with them. Again, they were doing, like, the best with what they had.
Yeah.
And they didn't know how to like, deal with me, you know, which I don't blame them for, but that really hurt as well. And that was another layer of years of working through that with my parents to get to where we are now. But, so yeah, I went to therapy. It was okay. It was a lot of me talking and her just kind of listening to me.
Was this a Christian counselor?
It was a biblical counselor, yeah.
Okay.
And it wasn't, I don't really remember much of what she said because it wasn't super helpful.
That's what I was going to ask, if you found it helpful.
No, because we kind of, like, skirted around the issue.
Really?
for a few months.
Huh.
And then just stopped going because she said that it was kind of like not going anywhere, and so she like cut off therapy.
I want to throw up. Sorry.
So it's okay. The story gets better. I promise.
Okay.
I'm still here. Yeah. So stopped going to that therapy and was kind of just like on my own. Left to deal with this by myself. So I dealt with it by myself, and it was still there. I was still ashamed and confused about like, why am I attracted to women? Like, not to say that like I'm not attracted to men, because I am attracted to men, but the thing with women is like that they're like safer in my experience, and they're more welcoming, and that's where I belong. Yeah. And that is huge to someone who has like their confidence is totally being beaten down and like trying to find where can I have value. Yeah. And I don't have value with men, so I guess I'll have value with women. But not if I just like cut off having value with women, then I would have nothing. Right. So it was like it was an impossible situation that I was left to deal with by myself. Like, my mom would check on me every once in a while, but I very much felt like it was like, hey, you're not doing anything, are you? You know? Like,
just I know she didn't. Accountable more than anything.
Right.
Sort of.
Right. So now I was treated like a problem. So to get to a checkpoint, basically, of like, what started to change and what was actually helpful for me, it was through, it got to a point where there was nowhere else to go. Basically, it got to like a stop. It all came to a screeching halt when this thing happened. Lisa, I have a question for you.
Okay, what you got?
What does your name mean?
Oh, I know this. Lisa is short for Elizabeth, or it's a pet form of Elizabeth, which is what the baby name book said when I was growing up. And Elizabeth means friend of God? No, that's Ruth. Loved by God? It means something like that.
Okay. That's cool. I didn't think of it as being short for Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Elizabeth.
Exactly. Now, my understanding is they just kind of picked that one out of the baby name book because I was supposed to be Jeffrey. The whole time my mom was pregnant with me, I was Jeffrey.
Oh, no.
They didn't even consider a girl's name because there's no way that I wasn't Jeffrey. And so they had quite a shock when I popped out.
Was this before you could tell the gender?
They did not do ultrasounds. They just were convinced I was Jeffrey because, they wanted boys, you know. And they were convinced that's what I was because that's what they wanted. And then I wasn't. And I had red hair, which was also a shock. So they had to scramble.
Does anyone in your family have red hair?
No, but like looking into genetics and stuff when I was in school, what happens is they both just have the kind of dark hair that is a carrier for the redheaded gene. And so, and because red hair is recessive, they both carry that red gene. It means 50% of their children would end up redheaded, which is exactly what happened.
That's probably what happened to Quinn, because we have no idea where it came from.
In order to be a redhead, your parents both have to have the gene. Yeah. Either a dominant form of it or a recessive form of it. It has to be in there somewhere for you to get it. So, surprise! That's how you find out if you've got the gene, I guess, if you didn't know beforehand. Have kid kids. Pops out with bright red hair.
Yeah.
And,
What does the rest of your name mean?
Catherine, also means friend of God. They both mean something related to God. I have a very Christian
look
name.
It up?
I used to have a little bookmark. These were really popular in the 80s.
Yeah, we would have those too. Yeah.
Just so that in case you forget who you are and you're reading a book, you've got it right there. You know what your name is and what it means. Very handy. So I looked at it a lot. I still have that little bookmark. I haven't looked at it real recently.
Do they do last names too?
All the names that end in man, all the last names that end in man, mean something like that was the job of the person, you know? So, like, some kind of job, some kind of profession.
You don't know?
It indicated? No. I know it's British, but my name before Harmon was Langenberg. That was not British. That's German. That is.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes. On my dad's side, it's just German as far as you can see.
Berg is for mountain.
Okay. That makes sense. But like iceberg.
I think it's like where your family is from.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like Jenkins is like that too. It's it's English for some region.
Okay.
In England.
Cool. I'd never looked into it before. I just knew it was German. You know.
That's it. I like that name. It's a cool name. I always wish I had like a cooler name because Jenkins is like butlery. Like people.
I never thought about it before.
Like everyone in movies, like they're like Jenkins.
Yeah, that could get annoying.
But it's also I don't know. I just don't like it. And it's like very common.
Yeah, you could change your name.
Yeah, like Houdini. That's a cool ass name.
That's a cool, and also, you know, I like when they have a connotation of a certain region or nationality. You know, so yeah, Langenberg was cool for that. Houdini, that's Italian, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I think he made it up. That wasn't his real last name, but it's based on all the Italian type people.
Like, imagine having the last name Beethoven.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be cool?
That would be a lot to carry around with you, though. There's certain expectations when your last name is Beethoven. Anyway, that's what my name means, not Jeffrey.
No, you said Lisa is short for Elizabeth, which means friend of God, and Catherine also means friend of God.
Beloved by God.
Well, which
I
is
think
it?
Ruth is friend of God.
Pick one.
You're going to look it up for me. Because I'm too old to remember.
God's promise?
Yeah, that's what I said.
And then Peter.
Okay.
I haven't looked at. I can look into it more and see like more of the etymology and stuff.
Okay.
Did you ask me a question?
Not yet.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I think so.
Okay. This kind of goes along with a little bit what you were talking about earlier. I didn't know we were going to talk about camp, but I was going to ask you, what is your favorite memory of camp? Do you have a favorite? Did you go to Super Summer regularly as a youth?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I went like the 4 years in high school.
Okay. And did you enjoy it? Am I bringing up trauma?
No, you're not bringing up trauma.
Okay. I'm asking because Ruthie's at camp.
Oh.
And so I have camp on the brain. Yeah.
Yeah, camp is interesting.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I have mixed feelings for my own experiences. But
yeah, I would.
She seems to enjoy it.
I would want to hear your experiences with it.
Someday we can talk all about camp.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's another episode.
Yeah.
Okay. But your question was...
Yeah, what's your favorite memory?
My favorite memory from
camp. / Super Summer.
Like, the most impactful thing was, like, the realness of sitting around under a tree at night after everything had settled down.
Okay.
And we were having our small group time just with the people, like, the people who were in our church group.
Yeah.
I typically brought my guitar and we would, like, sing.
Wow.
Or, and it was always super, like, that's what worship is to me, is, very little, and that kind of stuff, and I remember, like, in the girls' dorm, we would all, like, cram into someone's room at night as well, and, like, we would just play and sing, and, you know, goof off and, like, do stupid stuff and prank each other, but, like, also, like, just that camaraderie, that, sisterhood of like that's the stuff that stands out to me. Not so much the lectures and stuff,
right?
Or I mean, rec was fun too, but it's like that's what I carry with me is the whole, you know, it's not an uncommon thing. It's Super Summer to have, you know, to go outside and people are sitting in like groups of 2 or 3 or whatever, like praying together or reading scripture, or it's like they're kids, you know, and it's like, this is cool. And I remember like a girl walked up to our group. We were just like sitting in the lobby or something, waiting for something to start, and she walked up and she was like nervous, but she was like excited. She's like, I just got saved. And
Aww.
we were like,
Aww.
welcome to the family, you know? Like,
that's cool.
yeah, it's just like, and there's just like this immediate connection of commonality, and like, we're all trying to figure this thing out together, and then, you know, there are other people who are just there to have fun, but
yeah,
like, those people, I know we talked about this before, but like, the people that you want to be around are like, kind of like, you attract them, and they attract you, so
yeah,
you like kind of find each other,
right,
and I found that there,
good, wow.
in a way,
that's
so
cool.
Yeah, so like my favorite memory, is that what you were asking?
Yeah,
was like,
okay,
just those small group times and those like worship times.
Okay, that's a good answer.
Yeah. Also, Mufa Poofa was really fun.
I don't know what that is.
It's obstacle course, basically.
Oh
Of like, you start with a bat and you like put your forehead on it and like go in circles.
Yeah.
And you're super dizzy. And the whole time you're carrying a soda. And,
oh my.
And then you have to like go through all these things.
Yikes.
And then you run back. It's like 100 yards or so.
Wow.
And then you have to down the soda.
Oh gosh. And
then the next person can go. And there are like 4 teams, and whoever like gets through wins.
Yeah. So. See, I am getting old because that does not sound like fun.
It was great fun. You would love it as a kid, I'm sure.
See, I probably would not have.
Oh, really?
I was so uptight as a child.
Okay.
I did not have fun very easily.
If we were friends when we were that age,
yeah,
I feel like I would have made it fun for you.
I agree. I do agree.
Like, Lisa, come on, like, you gotta get, and you'd be like, okay, fine, and then, like, you always, like, have to, like, ask the adult to hold your glasses, and you're like,
yeah.
Yeah.
No, that is pretty much what happened. It was like I was just waiting for someone to give me permission to unclench.
Yeah, because, like,
know?
Kids want to have fun, and, like, I can see that, like, you have that in you. Yeah. And, like, I'm like that with people, I, like, give them nudges and like, no, come on, like, come have fun with me.
I mean, I wish that I hadn't needed that. I wish that I would have been, like, confident enough to just be myself without waiting for permission, you know? And I don't know what that was that made me feel like I couldn't, but, yeah, someday when we talk about camp in a more extended format, I will tell you about my trip to Super Summer. Because I wish I had good memories. Oh, but it's okay.
I did no. Right. I will say no. The memories were good.
I'm sure.
And it was a very stressful time.
Yeah.
But
our camp is rough on introverts.
Yeah, and I thought I was an extrovert for a long time. So
that's how you find out. Go to camp.
Yeah.
See how you feel.
When you get home and you're like emotionally exhausted for like days, if not a week or so.
Oh, right. The rest of summer.
Yeah. Then you might be an introvert.
Here's your sign.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel that.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that you have good memories.
I'm sorry you don't.
Oh, it's okay. You know, makes you who you are.
True.
All comes together. What age are you now in this story?
I am. How old am I?
You're 25 now.
Yeah.
I know this because you horrified me with being the same age as my web producing skills.
Yeah. So the thing that happened was I had a nervous breakdown, basically. Last year.
Okay.
Early last year, like in January, February or something.
Of 2021?
Yes.
Okay.
COVID was rough, obviously, for everyone. But I really hated 2020 because I was finding so much of my value, of my worth, of my identity in what other people were getting from me and what I was getting from other people. Yeah. And suddenly I didn't have any people. So I had my family, but they were not who I was getting those things from. I was getting those things from friends. And
giving to them too, right? Yeah.
And it was like, we would talk on like FaceTime or something, and like, no one was having as hard of a time as like I was with it, seemingly. So that was really annoying. Like, what the heck? Isn't everyone like this? You know? And then in 2021, I was like in between jobs. I was really trying to get a job, and I could not make myself get a job because, one, I was like, I really want a job that I want to do.
Yeah.
And, you know, get out of like these little jobs of
something meaningful.
Yeah, and trying to find worth in something. Terrified that it would be the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And in 2020, I completed my undergrad, and which was very anticlimactic. Because I wanted to go on to get my master's. In 2020, I finally figured out what I wanted to do, because I was a history major the whole time until senior year, and switched majors to liberal studies so I could graduate with that faster and go into counseling, because I came to the realization, you know, like, I love people. Even though I try not to,
Can't help it.
Can't help it.
We are so darn lovable.
Love these people.
These idiots that keep hurting me.
But people are fascinating to me. I was getting into personality typology, getting into some psychology stuff, just totally fascinated by all of that still am. Anyway, so in 2021, really trying to get a job. I could not get a job, and I remember the night that I had the nervous breakdown was like I made myself deal, basically, like, you have to get a job by next week, and if you don't, then like you just have to, or
did you have
or
an
else
ultimatum at all, or just had a goal?
No,
like was there a
there was not, like,
okay,
there wasn't like, or I'm gonna do this. It was just like, you have to get a job, period.
Okay.
And
it will happen.
It will
this
happen.
Week. Yeah.
And if it doesn't, that's not an option.
Okay.
Because it has to happen.
Failure is not an option.
And it didn't happen. And it was Sunday. Sunday night, we went to like a small group thing.
Yeah.
Me and my friend and my sister came home. I had been extremely dissociated with what I was around. I felt like I was dreaming for like about a week.
Okay.
And super not normal, super like very emotional, like almost on the verge of tears a lot.
Yeah.
Really like, nope, not gonna do that. Like, just keeping inside, and just turning into like a robot or a zombie or something. Like, just going through the day and trying not to interact with emotions. And so it got to a breaking point of that Sunday night. I remember very vividly, like, driving home, telling my sister and my friend, I don't think I'm okay. And just like, it was just, everything was just like coming out all of a sudden, and like the dam burst, and they were like, we need to go in and talk to your parents about this, you know. That was like, I need help. Not like I want help, but like this, like, I just can't, you know. And so my parents very graciously, kindly helped me. And Mom's like, you know what, like, we're going to call your doctor, and we're going to get you set up, and we're going to get you on some medicine, and we're going to figure this out together, you know. And she's like, I think you should look around for a therapist too, and I can help you with that, you know. And I was like, I'll do anything to make this stop. So yeah, that was my breaking point. And we got me set up with some medicine, which was like really helpful.
Did you go to like the hospital or anything that night?
No.
Okay.
I was just a ball of emotion, and didn't know what was going on. And my family was like constantly checking on me, and they didn't leave me alone.
Okay.
I didn't have a job at that point, obviously, and like, yeah, they would take me with them places, and I didn't feel like doing anything. I didn't feel like driving. I didn't feel like, definitely didn't feel motivated to get a job. Definitely didn't feel motivated to be creative or anything. And I like oddly got really into Minecraft.
Well, that's because Minecraft is cool.
Like, Quinn got me into Minecraft. I was like kind of just like putting around on it.
Yeah.
Like, this is kind of funny. But then like, I was super depressed and anxious all of a sudden. It's just like, this is a totally different world. Let's go there.
Yeah.
And just, you know, something mindless. And
check out.
Yeah.
Yep. Was it therapeutic at all, or just allowed you to get through the day?
It was therapeutic, yeah.
Okay.
In a way, because like, you get to like build stuff, and like, figure out how things work,
Mm-hmm.
and you can like build machines basically and stuff. And that's like, I love that.
I know, like
Troubleshooting.
my kids would play Minecraft,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd be like, great, I'm gonna count that as school. Go play an hour of computer games.
Really?
Yeah. You can't have lunch until you play your hour of Minecraft, children.
Okay.
I believe in the power of Minecraft.
Yeah, so that was like a coping mechanism for me.
Okay.
And I got set up with a therapist, which was like, honestly, that was like a game changer, because all of a sudden it was like, oh, there are definitions for what's going on.
Yeah.
There are names for things of what's going on. A lot of people go through what you've been going through, and there's a way out. And those were all like, okay, like I can do this, okay. And so starting off with, I mean, the same thing with medicine, like they start you off with things just to bring everything back down to maybe a 5
level. Yeah.
instead of a 10.
Yeah.
Or even a 7 would be ideal, like just bring it down a little so that you can start processing some stuff.
You can function again.
Yeah, because it's weird how the body gets to the point of like it will stop functioning correctly.
Yep.
Yeah, so putting science to that made all the difference for me. I know some people do better if it's just like more of an emotional thing, and you can like process through emotions, but
But the science validates what's happening, because it's all of a sudden not just you being dramatic or whatever. It's like there is something physically off here.
Like you're
that
not
needs
wrong.
Attention. Exactly. Yeah, you're not wrong about how you're feeling.
Right.
So that's good to know. It's an actual thing.
Yeah. So I was learning a bunch of coping skills for how to deal with anxiety, how to ride the wave of anxiety until it passes, and basically, like how to have a panic attack. You know? Because I was having them quite regularly. Yeah. You gotta ride the wave, and like it will pass. And then there's a whole thing with anticipatory anxiety, because you're so scared of the panic attack when it's happening, and then you're super scared that it will happen again.
Yeah.
And that causes its own anxiety, and it's like, well, you gotta like let go of that.
Right.
Anyway, through all of this, my relationship with my family was dramatically changing, because they were so loving and understanding, because they had gone through all of the crap that they went through, all the crap that we collectively went through.
Yeah.
And that was like so overwhelming. That was like the most overwhelming thing was the love, because like my parents weren't trying to fix me, they were trying to help me.
Yeah, just be there for you.
Yeah. And my relationships with my sisters were dramatically changing, because I finally understood them.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful that I am able to understand them. So I'm so grateful for the anxiety and the depression. And I have a newfound appreciation and empathy for people. I hate that it has to happen that way.
Yeah, it's not the ideal way to learn how to love people.
But I feel like it's not the ideal way, but it's the only way.
I mean, so many of us are just that stubborn. Like that is the only way God can get through to us, is to take us through that veil.
Yeah, well, like, I don't think there are any therapists out there who have never been through something, like, super challenging.
Right. It's what prepares you to be helpful to somebody else, and it trains you, and it gives you that, those tools that you need.
Yeah.
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 So.
Anyway, this is, huge for me. Being super dependent on other people to get me through things. Some stuff started changing for me for the better, finally. And, like, I got a job for a while, and was enjoying that for a bit. I was doing DoorDash kind of on the side, still dealing with anxiety pretty daily and stuff, and didn't really know how to talk about it with other people, because, people ask, like, so what are you up to? Where are you working? Or whatever. It's like, so, I mean...
were you ever tempted to just be, like, super honest?
Well, yeah, I was going to say, it was always like, well, I've been working a lot on my mental health right now, and, like, that's pretty much my full-time job right now, is making sure, like, I'm okay, and asking for help and telling people what I'm thinking and feeling, like, using the skills that I've learned in therapy to get through a day, and to try to enjoy life again. I was going to say one more thing, I think, before I moved on.
While you're thinking, I have a question.
Yeah.
How did people respond when you responded with you're taking care of your mental health, and, you know, when you would respond honestly to, like, how are you doing? And people just expect you to be like, fine, you know, and you'd say something other than fine. What did people say in general?
100% of the time they were very welcoming to that idea.
Okay.
They were very, that's amazing. I'm so glad you're doing that for yourself.
Good. I was mainly asking to make sure that I was, you know, also responding well. Like, I know I did that. I only care about me, Marge. I just want to make sure I'm doing okay.
Yeah, and, like, I don't blame you for anything, you know? Like, I know you see it as, like, oh, man, I could have done something. Like, you have a totally different life at that point, you know? And, like, just because you could have done something doesn't mean that you should have, or that it was meant to be that way, you know? I just want you to know that. Like, I know you know that, but
yeah, I
gotta tell you, like, I don't care that you weren't there for me. I care that you're here for me, you know? This is what matters to me. So anyway.
That's a healthy way of looking at it. Good. Yeah, I just do wish it could have been different. But
I wasn't there for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you...
Just because I'm younger.
You were a glimpse into something better for me, you know? Like, during 2020 and early 2021 and stuff, you would ask questions that, or respond differently than other people, and it gave me a glimpse that maybe somebody else is struggling as bad as you are, you know, because I was falling apart. I got a tattoo to commemorate the whole thing, you know, and I know you and I had a couple of exchanges.
Yeah.
Where I was like...
I remember them.
Yeah, literally, it was like, you're not alone.
Yeah.
Marge gets it.
Yeah.
Everybody else around here doesn't seem to get it, but Marge gets it. And, of course, that was just where I was at. I know that it was hard on everybody.
Yeah, like, other people do get it.
Yeah.
But, for some reason, like...
It just doesn't always click with everybody.
Yeah.
So.
I agree. Like, I found solace in our conversations, even though they were pretty brief.
Right? Yeah. But just literally little blips on the radar, but it was enough.
It was enough.
To give me a little hope.
Totally agree.
Not that I hoped you were struggling as bad as I was, but just that you're not alone. That goes so far, you know?
It does.
I remember thinking, I am an introvert. This should be, like, the best thing ever for me to not have anywhere to go or anyone to talk to.
I was confused as well.
Right? Yes. Yeah. It was this I had to have this existential conversation with myself, like, are we extroverted? You know? The answer is no, we're not, but we are created to need people.
Uh-huh.
And when you don't get that connection, you suffer.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah.
So.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Where were we at? I derailed you. I'm sorry.
We were... No, you didn't. You, like, totally added to that. So, yeah, I was struggling with anxiety, like, regularly, but it was getting to a point where it was, like, somewhat manageable. Okay. And then, basically, like, towards the beginning of this year... hit rock bottom. There'll be a time I can talk about it more openly. But yeah, there was, my world was basically destroyed, and I had to start completely over. So I hit rock bottom, and there was no way out except up or out. Just take myself out of the equation. And, became suicidal. Therapy got pretty intense. And I was highly recommended to go to an outpatient program. Because that's where they send people if you're dealing with that kind of stuff. So I did that for like 4 weeks through Mercy. Not that that's really important, but...
No, I think it's good, like, people know that that's available, you know?
Yeah.
If people can learn that there's resources available from this podcast, super duper.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just us rambling.
And I want to say, too, like, it's actually, like, affordable, you know?
Oh, good.
Like...
That makes a huge difference.
Especially if you have, like, the Mercy financial stuff. Like the aid or whatever.
Which they'll do for, like, anybody, right?
They'll do for pretty much any, like...
Yeah.
Yeah. Even people who are making, like, 6 figures, they have, like, a ton of coverage on... Anyway.
Okay.
That's
available.
It's available. Like, if...
You should go.
If you know anyone, if you are experiencing that, like, they're really helpful programs. You're there 3 days a week for, like, 3 hours.
Was this here in Washington?
It was in St. Louis.
Okay.
The one in Washington was only available like online.
Ugh.
And I was like, nah.
No.
So anyway, outpatient. It was everything I was learning in therapy already, but it was almost like people were keeping you accountable. Like every day, you set a goal for yourself, and then the next day, you share how you completed that goal. At least that's the idea. A lot of people just kind of don't do them, but that's like you're setting yourself up to fail if you're not going with the system.
Yeah. Why are you there if you're not gonna?
Yeah, it's there to help you, and the therapist there was super helpful. I learned a lot from other people. I saw how my life is not that bad compared to other people's, and really like grateful that I have such a good support group that people are looking out for me when I go home, and other people don't have that, and anyway, so that was like a good perspective for me to have, and it was really weird for me to go to group therapy because it's just sitting with a bunch of strangers, and it's like it's kind of as awkward as you think it would be.
Yeah.
But it's like it's also way more helpful than I ever thought it would be. It's really strange. But I would highly recommend it too.
Wow.
If you're going through something similar. Anyway, that was really good. Again, that was another time I was like, my family wasn't leaving me alone. I wasn't driving. I would have suicidal thoughts while I was driving. When I was alone, like my mom would sit in my room with me until I fell asleep sometimes, and yeah, it's just safety precautions and stuff, and like not constantly. Like I was given time to just breathe a bit.
Yeah.
But like there wasn't a day that went by that not everyone in my family asked how I was doing or whatever, and like they sat down and like wanted to hear,
Yeah.
And
wasn't just a question.
Yeah. So I felt super important to them. I didn't feel invisible to them anymore. I felt that I had value to them as a person rather than like as someone who does the chores or so or someone who's like the strong one in the group or whatever, because that was my role as well, pretending that I was okay and I wasn't. But I can't pretend anymore. I'm definitely not okay, and everyone can see that. That kind of leads me up to this point in my life where I am, I think, the sanest I've ever been, and I'm genuinely excited for life. And to be honest, I still do have really dark thoughts, but like I think that's just like something I'm going to be dealing with for a while.
Yeah.
Because it's not just something you can turn off.
Right.
But man, I am like so grateful for my story. So grateful for the complete mess and like everything that I've gone through, because like I'm where I am today. I'm like sitting with Lisa Harmon, like this is so cool. I'm like I'm getting to talk to people. I'm getting to be excited about talking to people again, and excited about going to school and getting a job. Like I have some job opportunities lined up that should be starting, in the next few weeks. So, or next week hopefully. But I'm glad to be alive. And like I remember in IOP, you would meet with like a psychiatrist like once a week, and they always ask you like the same standard questions on their sheet, and one of them is like, any thoughts of hopelessness? And I got to say no.
Oh, good.
And the answer was yes for a while.
Oh yeah.
And I got to say no, and that made me smile behind my mask. Just like, I'm not hopeless.
Yeah.
And I was, but I'm not. Like, and that's like, in the spectrum of my life as a Christian, I get it now.
Yeah.
And I would have never, ever, ever been able to get it. No freaking chance I would have been able to get it unless I'd gone through it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, thank God I went through it, I went through it.
Came out the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah.
Now you're unstoppable.
Yeah. And it's because of like the power of Christ that lives within me that I'm here, because left to my own understanding, I would have like offed myself a long time ago. So, because there's nothing in my understanding of myself that's worth or what other people were telling me about God, and my understanding of him at the time was that, like, he was, like, disgusted with me.
Yeah.
That he, you know, hated that I had these thoughts and feelings, and that he was disappointed. And that wasn't him. He never said that. People told me that.
Yep.
People communicated that to me.
Yeah.
He never once, ever.
Yeah.
Like, if you read scripture, he doesn't, that's not him.
Nope.
He's, like, is standing at the door and knocking, you know? And
he sees you, and he loves you. For who you are.
Yeah. He'll take the mess. He can handle it.
Yeah.
Yeah. He actually, like...
He's seen it.
Yeah,
he's still there.
Like, I know it's coming to the world to save saints, or whatever. You know what I mean? He came to the world to save sinners.
Right. Yes. Because it's the sick that need the hospital.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
He's the hospital.
Yeah.
We totally got it.
You basically, like, you can't be sick until you're sick. You know what I mean? Like, I know you can, like, come to a realization in your head that, like, oh, I'm sick.
Right.
But, like, you have to be sick. To, like...
You have to have actually
have
something...
the antibodies. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You can't just, like, have an understanding of being sick. You have to actually have, like, an infection of some kind, or whatever, you know? Yeah. And then it becomes real. And that's where God meets us, I think.
Yeah,
know?
absolutely.
So just waiting for us to get there. Stop getting out of our heads, you know, thinking we know.
And start getting out of your head.
Whatever. Yeah, what did I say?
Stop getting out of your head.
You know what I mean. Yes.
Yeah.
That. Well, I'm glad you're where you're at.
Yeah, me too.
I'm glad you're doing better.
So yeah, thanks for letting me share. I love doing this podcast with you. Like, this is literally, like, I had ideas of doing something like this for a long time, and I had no idea what it would look like.
Yeah.
But, like, I want to sit around and, like, share stories and stuff, or, like, maybe I should, like, write a book and, like, collect stories of people and share testimonies, because, like, that's what I want to hear, and that's what, it is scary to share, but, dude, it's, like, so worth it, you know?
It is.
And, like, I need to share, and, I know we talked about that earlier, of, like, you, like, sharing your story is powerful for you, because we will overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony, and there's no other way, you know?
Yeah, and, you know, put your light on a hill, take the basket off of that little light, you know, let it shine.
I never got that one, but yeah.
Well, I'm making it for us.
Why is it in a basket?
What is I don't remember what, you know, the song, hide it under a bushel. No, I'm gonna let it shine. You know, your story is your little light, you know?
Yeah.
Because that's your heart. And that's what God's done in you. So other people need to see that too, because I don't know what somebody else is going through. And what, you know, shame and that pain dies when you shine a light on it. You know?
It recoils for sure.
It does.
It's still there.
Right.
But, like, the more you expose it, the more it goes away.
It shrinks.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Instead of compounding in the darkness.
Right.
You know?
So, like, to keep doing it, like, this is, I pray that this is not the only time I share my story, you know? Like,
I think it's just the beginning.
Yeah. That's something my therapist told me, too.
Like, oh, really?
Your
therapist is cool.
Yeah, she's pretty cool. She said, like, Bless you, Hobbs. She said that I was going through a metamorphosis.
Oh, yes. You know, that whole, the metaphor of metamorphosis became more powerful to me when I learned, like, I've always been into nature, and I've always been a huge nerd about it.
Yeah.
But I just learned last year that when a caterpillar goes into a cocoon or a chrysalis or whatever, that it literally turns to mush. Like,
That's what she said.
It melts. Yeah, like, all of its recognizable parts disassemble. It's just a blob of cells, and then it reassembles into something, you know, arguably way better, because caterpillars are gross, you know. Butterflies are cool. So, yeah, that made a lot more sense to me. Like, when you're going through something and you're just, you know, puddle, that's okay. It's part of the process. Like, yeah, it's ugly right now. It's not going to stay ugly. It's going to get cool. Part of the process. Well, cool. Yeah. This has been quite a journey. we've been through some stuff.
We have been through some stuff.
Yeah. I'm thankful that you told your story. Thank you for doing that. And for trusting us, your audience. What are we up to now? 20 some views?
I think we're more than that.
Clicks? I haven't looked in a while. We have any comments?
I kind of don't want to look.
Right? I know.
People are listening, so that's the important thing.
Right.
That's thank you for listening.
Yeah. We have some loyal followers already, and that's awesome.
Yes.
Pretty cool.
We're very grateful.
So we're just a couple of nerds with a microphone that want to shine a light for people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Not under a bushel.
No.
Whatever that is.
Up on a hill.
Shine it.
The light of Christ.
Shine it in your face.
Shine it in your face. Deal with that. Anyway, I was going to say something serious. Like, next episode will be a little bit more lighthearted, I think. Right? The tone of the last couple episodes is a little heavy, but it's because it was necessary.
I mean, your foundation better be heavy.
It's got to be, yeah. You don't want a styrofoam foundation, so.
Nope.
Yeah, that's what we're doing is laying that foundation, so. Yeah, but we still have some fun along the way. It's good stuff. Thank you, Marge.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa. Some housekeeping, I think. We are uploading every Sunday on 4 different platforms. So we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and YouTube now.
We're on the YouTube.
So
we're legit.
And we have a Facebook page and an Instagram page.
And a website.
Don't
forget about the website.
Just really doing all the...
We're out there.
All the things.
Putting it out there. Yeah.
So, yeah, give us a listen wherever you're at.
Tell your friends.
Rate and review if you want.
Yeah. Leave us a comment.
Yeah, like...
We'll ignore it until we don't, and then we'll respond.
Yeah, we love to see comments and stuff.
Yeah.
So
Send us some snail mail. Maybe we'll read it.
No.
In front of you.
I mean, we do... yeah, actually, you can.
Yeah.
But we do have... We haven't mentioned this yet, but we have a... email. You can email us any questions or things you want us to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can email us at lordbeermestrengthpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Any questions or...
Have people send in their own camp stories. Yeah. Good or bad. Sometimes both. One story can be both.
That's kind of my story.
Mine's mostly bad.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. But yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah,
so
send us your camp stories.
Use that email address and email us camp stories, or if they're concise, you can use the comment section on the podcast. Any of those outlets that we mentioned. Personally, I prefer the YouTubes because that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
That's what I use.
If you talk to us in person, because a lot of you people we know,
yeah.
So far, what do you want to say? Like, we won't answer it. You have to email.
To write it down.
You have to write it down.
Don't just walk up to us and tell us camp stories.
Yeah.
Because A, we don't have time for that. We're very busy. And B, we won't remember it anyway, and we need it for the podcast. So write it down.
Write it down.
Yeah, that's all we ask.
Yeah. So thanks for listening, everyone.
Yeah. Tune in next time.
Yeah. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you, Marge.
I feel like we should shake hands or something. This is like...
Oh, we will.
Is that a threat?
I have no idea. I just say things. I'm sorry.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.